Okay, it's exciting. We get to start Unit 3 now. It's kind of almost like opening a Christmas present. Here we go. We're going to open it. And now we're into functions and graphing functions, just basic ones. And so we're going to do lots of things. But first, we just need to learn about functions. So before we learn about functions, we also need to define what a relation is. A relation is a set of ordered pairs. A relation is a set of ordered pairs. And everything that you see in the sheet in front of you, these are all relations. So everything we're looking at is a relation. A function, on the other hand, is a relation, but it's a very special relation, okay, in which each input value, which is usually our x value, is paired with one and only one output, which is our y value, or we think of it as x and y. It can be any variables, but we usually think of it as x and y. So notice what it says again. I want you to pay attention to the word. A relation in which each input is valued with one and only one output. So the input can only have one output, but the output can have tons of inputs. So another way to think about this, so the x value can only have one y value, but the y value can have, doesn't matter. Okay, so the other way I remember it is x values, the input, do not repeat. Okay, that's the non-mathematical way of doing it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at all these relations and we're going to find out, are these functions? Okay, so that's what we're looking at when we look at all of these. So here we go. We're going to find, here's my input, here's my output. So my input, right, my input has one output. Okay, but what we're doing is that our input can only have one output. So our input has to be very specific. It cannot repeat. So is this a function? Yes, this is a function. Let's look at letter B. Okay, so they all look fine. Look again. Do my x values repeat any place to have the same y value? Bam, right there. We have two x values that are all the same. This is not a function. Of course it is a relation because everything here is a relation. So now if we're given to it as tables, it's the same rule. Our input can only have one output. Do we see? So here we have an input of 2 and we get 1. We have that same input, but we get a 3. So is this a function? No, not a function. And it's because our input has two different outputs. It can only have one output. Okay, so not a function. Here we go. So 1 goes to 6, 2 goes to 6, 3 goes to 6, 7 goes to 6. But do any of these repeat? No. But look at all these. These all repeat. And that's the bizarre thing. Very specific on the x, but the y, not a problem. So yes, this is a function. Okay, are we getting this? It's not anything super difficult. Okay, now we go to mappings. Now these are not as common, but they do happen. And what this is saying is this 2 maps to 4. This 3 maps to 8. This 4 maps to 8. And this 5 maps to 5. Now for me personally, it's much easier if I write them out as ordered pairs. So this is the ordered pair of 2, 4. And this is the ordered pair of 3, 8. Okay, and this 4 to 5. Now notice what's happening, okay? Each of my inputs only have one output. But notice that my outputs do repeat. That's okay. It's just not the inputs that can, the x values. So this is a function. Okay, we have another mapping. And 4 goes to 7, 5 goes to 2, and 5 goes to 9. Okay, this is not looking like a function. I'm going to double check. And I like to write out my ordered pairs just to make sure. And I was right. Look at those. We have two x values that are the same. I have to complete it. That will drive me crazy if I don't. But see how those two x values are the same? Those two inputs have more than one output. So 5 goes to 2 and 5 goes to 9. This is not a function. Okay, next page. So you can see it's not anything too complicated. Equations are kind of the weirdest ones, but not weirdest. I would say these are the most challenging. So we have to look to see if I put in an input, do I get 1? And as we go through this chapter and this unit, you're going to find out how this works and even be better with equations. So just to give you an introduction on equations, though. So what we can do is we can pick a value. Let's pick, I don't know, 3. So I'm going to plug 3 in place of x. So I get 3 times 3 plus 2. 9 plus 2, I get 11. When I plug in a value, I can only get one value out. So is this a function? Yes, it is. Okay, now look at this one. Y squared equals x plus 1. Again, let's just pick 3. X equals 3. So I get y squared is equal to 3 plus 1. Whoops, I usually put in parentheses. So that gives me 4. Y squared equals 4. Now think about this one. We know that y can equal 2 because 2 squared is 4. So if y was 2, that would give me 4. But look at this also. If I plug in a negative 2, wouldn't I also get 4? So see how when I plug in 3, I get the ordered pair 2. When I plug in 3, I also get the ordered pair of negative 2. So this is not a function. And just for now, pay attention to that y squared. When you have a y squared, you're not going to have a function. Okay, we'll get into the graphing of that later. Hey, let's look at real world. So a person's identity. So if I plug in Jill, I can only get my social security number. If I get somebody else, that means that I am a fraud because that social security number is just to me. So as long as everything's going well, hey, there's only one social security number. If somebody else has mine, not a good thing. Okay, now a person's age. So if we're looking at this, a person's age, well, a person's age can change a whole bunch. And their weekly income, could that change ever? So let's take a person who is 21 years old. Okay, their age is 21. They are in college. They are working at Hy-Vee. And they are making, by now they're making, let's make it easy, $10 an hour. Okay, they graduate from college, they get a job, and they're still 21, but now they're making a salary. Okay, so if we would look at this over a year, it would not be too much. They're making a salary now that if you figure out what their salary is, they're making about $30 an hour at least. So is this a function? Well, their age did not change, but their income did. So this is not a function. Because now they're working at an engineering firm and they're making way more money. Okay, now these are my favorite, a graph. Okay, let's get through the mathematical part first. To determine if a graph is a function, you will need to apply what's called the vertical line test. Okay, now the vertical line test, we all know vertical. This is horizontal, right? Vertical, horizontal. Vertical, horizontal. Think horizon. That's how I always remember it. This is the horizon. It lays on its side. Vertical is up and down. Another way to think about it is if we talk about somebody's vertical leap, like a volleyball player, their vertical leap, or a basketball player. So that's vertical. So now, a vertical line test. What that means is that I want to be able to draw a vertical line through something and see if it hits more than once. I'm going to use a piece of paper. I'm going to use a yellow piece of paper so that we can see what is happening. Okay, and then I'll tell you another name that I call this. So here is a vertical line. See how it hits two things at once? That's not a function. Now, I can go along. It hits here too. It's saying at one time, for each value of x, imagine a vertical line passing through it. If the line passes through only one point on the graph at that spot, then the graph represents a function. Or maybe it wraps, I don't know. Okay, so here's a better example. This is where we're going to see it more often. I can take my vertical line, which I also call the pencil test. Okay, and if I had a really skinny pencil, it'd be easier. But the pencil test is if I can lay it down vertically, and see how these lines all go vertically. If I lay it down, do I touch the graph more than once at that point? No. Do I touch it more than once here? No, I do not. Look at it with a line. Okay, I touch it only at that point. So yep, that works. Only at that point. I have exactly one x value coming out to one y value. one x value comes out to one y value. One x value, one y value. Okay, so yes, this is a function. Okay, now look at this one. If I do the pencil test on this one, nah, that one fails big time because it hits it twice. Because look, if I do a vertical line, we'll do it with our paper. See how I hit it there and hit it there? My x value has two y values. So this is not a function. Okay? So look at this one right here. If we go to this one, I've already kind of showed you, fails, big time, fails, it hits it twice. Now over here, fine, over here, fine, over here, fine. This is where it fails. So this is not a function. Okay, let's look at this one. Yep. Yep. Only hits one point at a time. So this one is a function. Okay, vertical line test. It's awesome. And a lot of times, if I'm given a function, I will graph it and then use my vertical line test because it's way easier. Okay, so look at this. We were going to make this as an assignment, but we found another thing that you can do just as well. But I just want to talk through a couple of these, and then you're going to do a Schoology assignment. So compare and contrast a relation and a function. Well, a relation, that's everything. A function is a very specific, oh, look, I'm making shadows. A very specific relation where the one x value can only have one y value. Y values can be anything. Explain using the definition of a function why a vertical line test determines whether a graph is a function. Well, when I draw my graph, explain using the definition of a function. Oh, each x value has to have exactly one y value. Each x value has to have one y value. Each x value. Each x value has to have one y value. Can't happen with the vertical line test. If that vertical line goes through and hits it twice, it's not a one-to-one. It has more than one. Okay, we've already practiced these. We've practiced these. These would be a good thing to practice on and then look at the answers. I'm sure the person who wrote the answers to this has a way better explanation for those. Same thing on this. This is just good practice. But your assignment is out on Schoology. These are good practice, and the answers will be out in a green folder on the site. But you're going to do a Schoology assignment to go along with this assignment. Yay, functions. You're going to like these, and as you can see, they're nothing difficult. So great. If you have any questions, you know where to find us.